Hello and welcome to a new video from AutoBot YouTube channel. So today we are going to learn about what is Invoke Process and Invoke Workflow File activity in UiPath. Okay, so we are going to complete these two activities through some practical demo, and we are going to understand what is the difference between both of these activities and where we can use these activities to invoke the workflows as well as invoke different process that is published to Orchestrator or to our local machine. Okay, so before going to this process, let me do one thing. There is a suggestion from one of the viewers to change the theme of our UiPath Studio from dark to light. Okay, so those who are a very beginner, I will show you how you can change that. For that, you need to go to Home, go to Settings. Okay, so in Settings, inside the General tab, you can see the theme. Okay, use this to change the interface theme in Studio. Okay, so currently that is dark, so I'm going to change that to light. Okay, so as per the suggestion, I understood like it will be easily visible if I change that to a light background. Okay, so I'm changing that. Once you've done that, it will ask for the studio to restart. Let me restart it. Meanwhile, we'll do one thing. We'll go through a document which UiPath has provided for both this activity. So we'll start with the invoke process. Okay, so what is Invoke Process? It executes a UiPath process that is available for the local machine, can be used to run local packages as well as process in Orchestrator. Okay, if a connection is available. So just consider like if you have created a workflow and you uploaded that to Orchestrator. Okay, for an example, I'm telling. Okay, and you create another process, and if you want to trigger the first process which you upload to Orchestrator through another process, what you can do? You can use this invoke process activity. Okay, so if you are publishing a package to the Orchestrator or to our local machine, and in future, okay, as part of your new automation process, if you want to utilize that particular process, you can call that invoke process. For example, what I can tell is like if you create a process, okay, to filter some email, and you need to reply back to that email. Okay, and that is a reusable component or a reusable process. Okay, and in your new process which you created, you can call it like B, and in that B, if you want to call the process A, okay, which you already uploaded to Orchestrator, what you can do? You can use this invoke process. Inside the invoke process, you can give the process name. Okay, process name which you uploaded to the Orchestrator. And here the one thing is like in all this document they mentioned about the process. Okay, so invoke process, it doesn't mean this is the actual process. Okay, so here we have to provide the package name. Okay, so once you are uploading the project to Orchestrator, it will be uploading as a package, right? So to invoke that particular package, you have to give the package name, not the process. Okay, not the process which you are going to create using the package. You have to give the package name, then only it will get executed. Okay, and the invoke process activity run in synchronous mode, meaning that the parent process waits for the child process to complete before resuming. Okay, so if you are invoking another process, it will wait for the invoke process to get complete, then only the parent process will get resumed. Okay, then the logs generated by the child process only contain the outcome of the execution and errors and are written in the same place as the ones from the parent and can be differentiated by the process name. Okay, so the logs will be written in the same log file, and the only differentiation like how you can understand is based on the process name. Okay, which is mentioned in the log. When using the invoke process activity, even though the project contains multiple processes, a single job is created for running them as opposed to run parallel process activity, which create a separate job for each process in the project. So if you are going to use invoke process activity, it will not create multiple processes. Okay, a single job will get execute if you are going to use a invoke process. Okay, so that's what it has mentioned here. But if you are going for a run parallel process, it will create a multiple jobs. Okay, separate jobs for each process in the project. And these things and all you can refer to this document. I will provide all these details in the description, so you can refer this document and understand what are these parameters. And regarding the properties, I will open up that activity and I will tell you what are those activities and where you can modify the parameters. So let me go to UiPath Studio, click on close. Okay, so now you can see the theme has changed to white. Let me do one thing, create a new process. I'm going to name it like process 1. Okay, create. So let it complete the creation of our project. So it will take a few more seconds, okay, for the completion. Okay, now we can see the project got created. Click on open main workflow. And here you can see the Invoke process activity. So let me search for Invoke. Okay, so first we are going to understand about a Invoke process. Then we can understand what is a Invoke workflow file. Okay, so what I'm going to do is before calling up this Invoke process, we have to create a two process, right? So here I'm going to use message box. Okay, and I'm just typing it like this is process 1. Okay, so this is a process 1. Okay, and we need to create one more process, right? What I'm going to do is go to home, create a new process. I'm going to name it like a process 2, create. Okay, open new workflow and add a message box. I'm going to give the message like this is process 2, save it. Okay, so that's it, we created a process 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this. Okay, so if you publish this, just make sure you are in the correct folder and your orchestrator is already connected. So I'm going to publish this and let me go to the orchestrator. So the orchestrator is open now. So what I'm going to do is go to studio, click on next. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish the package 2, okay, or the process 2. So click on next. Okay, so publish to orchestrated tenant process feed. Click on next and click on publish. Okay, so it will take some time for publishing that to orchestrator, and if you are not connected to orchestrator, it will get published locally. Okay, then you will have to provide the path of that particular package to call inside Invoke process. Okay, so now the publishing is completed. Go to orchestrator go to tenant, go to packages. Okay, so here you can see process 2. Okay, so the package which we just published has updated in the orchestrator packages. Okay, and here inside the invoke process, we don't want to create any process. Okay, we don't want to create any process by going to automation, and by creating a new process we don't want to create. Okay, what we need to do is we just need to provide the package name to call inside the invoke process. Okay, so that is a confusing thing, and if you get confused with that invoke process, don't get confused. Invoke process means you have to provide the package name. Okay, so that's it. So we have published the process 2 to orchestrator. Let me go back and open the process 1. Okay, open main workflow, and this is process 1, and inside this I'm going to invoke our process 2. Okay, so invoke process, and what are the properties that we need to provide? So if you want to pass some argument, we can pass those arguments. Okay, as a collection you can provide, or if you have any argument variables you can pass it. Okay, let me go to the document and I will explain what are those things. Okay, so continuing error that we know, like if you are getting some error, if you want to continue with that exception, you can enable this continue on error as true, then it will get a continue, and a timeout, like how much time it has to wait for the activity to get complete. And here the input fields, like a list of parameter that are passed to the invoked workflow at runtime. Okay, so those are these parameters. So either you can pass it like a collection, or either you can pass it like a variable. And process name, what is the name of the process that you want to invoke here? Okay, so if you provide some value here, that will get update here also. And log entry, you can see 3 types of logs. So that is nothing but okay, I think that is not mentioned here, but let me go to workflow. Okay, so here they will provide the description for this. Okay, log entry is like what type of information to automatically log when entering the invoked resource. Like here we have provided the invoke process, right? So what kind of log that you want to add for the invoked new process? Okay, same like that. Log exit means what type of information automatically log when exiting from the invoked process. So suppose if you are calling process 2 from process 1, what type of log that you want to capture while exiting from the process 2. Okay, login level applied to the message generated by log entry and log exit. What type of login that you want, whether it's a verbose or it's just a info kind. Okay, so I hope that is clear. And what else is there? Then the entry point, the path of the workflow file that will be run at a start of the process. Okay, related to the package root. If left empty, the default entry point will be main.xml. So this is nothing but like there can be multiple workflows in your project, right? Like while you are uploading a process, there can be main.xml or there can be workflow file 1.xml. So you are just telling the process like which workflow file that you want to execute as a entry point. Okay, so I already did the videos on this multiple entry points and how you can pass the workflow file names to execute some particular workflow files, right? And folder path where the process added. Okay, so that path you can provide. And private means it will not capture in the logs which you are going to create. And target session, what is your target session? So whether it's a current or process default or main or picture in picture. Okay, so here you can see the description for all these things. Current means the child process open in the same session as the parent one. Okay, so it will open as a same like currently you are executing the process 1. Inside that you are going to call the process 2, right? So it will invoke in the same session. It will not create any new session for that. Process default means child process uses the process settings. What are the process settings that you have provided? It uses the same settings and it will execute. same like a process 1. Okay, main means the child process starts in the main session regardless to whether the parent process runs. Okay, and picture in picture means the child process starts in picture in picture session regardless to where the parent process runs. This is nothing but like uh, if you're going to invoke your child process as a picture in picture or in pip, even though if your parent is not running like a pip, the child process will trigger in a picture in picture session. Okay, so that's it. And here what I'm going to do is, here I'm going to give the package name for this, right? So that is process 2. We have to put it in double quotes, process 2, and the entry point is main.xml. If you want to provide some different entry point, you can pass it over here. Okay, and if you want to pass any argument, you can click on edit argument and you can pass it over here, or you can directly pass the arguments in the input session. That's it. Let me execute and file. Currently I just invoke the process 1 and it is going to invoke the process 2 which I uploaded to the orchestrator. Okay, so this is process 1. Okay, we got an error message. Cannot find a process named process 2 in folder AutoBot. Process 2. Okay, go to AutoBot. Go to tenant, package. Okay, process 2. Click on that process, view versions. Go to automation, go to add process. Okay, so what is the package name that I want to choose? That is process 2, and click on next. Click on next. I'm going to give the display name like a process 2, create. Okay, let me refresh. Run file. Okay, so now you can see this is a process 2. Okay, so what I did is like we already uploaded the package and it was not added to any of the folders, right? It was not added to any of the particular folder. So what I did, I go to AutoBot, I go to automation, I created a new process, and here we have to provide the uh, process name, and we need to tag that particular package to our process. Okay, but here the process name is nothing but this is not this process name. We have to provide the package name. Okay, then only it will work. If you want to check, I will do one thing. Next. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me rename this to process name. Okay, just refresh the connection. Okay, run file. This is process 1 and this is process 2. Okay, so inside this we have given process 2. Process 2 is a package name. Okay, so I hope you are clear about that. That's it. And so this is how you can use invoke process to invoke any of the process which you upload to orchestrator or to locally. Okay, and if you want to pass any arguments, you can pass it over here. I will provide another session on what is this variable and what is the argument and how you can pass the argument and what are the different types of arguments that you can pass and what are the directions like in, out, out, like that. Different directions are there for creating the arguments. Okay, I will create a new video on that. So that's it about our invoke process activity. So let me do one thing. Let me comment this. Okay, and we'll go to invoke process activity. Sorry, invoke workflow activity. So what is invoke workflow? Let me drag and drop this activity, invoke workflow. Okay, so if you drag and drop this activity, invoke workflow, it will ask for argument, same like a invoke process. It will ask for the argument variable, then isolated, then workflow file name, then the log levels, right? So let me go to the document and we'll understand what is this activity. Okay, it synchronously invoke a specified workflow, optionally passing it a list of input argument. Argument can be imported from a specified workflow with this activity by using the import argument. Okay, so this is nothing but like in this same project, you can see we have only main.xml file, right? So if I'm going to create a new workflow, okay, let me name it like workflow 2. Okay, I name it like workflow 2. Okay, and I'm going to add an activity message box. This is workflow 2. Okay, that's it. Save it, and inside the main, what we have to do, we need to open the workflow, right? Or let me click on this. You just need to choose a workflow 2. Okay, then if there is any argument that you want to pass, you can click on this input argument and you need to pass it over here. Okay, so in the next video, which is explaining what is variable and argument, I will explain what is argument and how you can pass these values over here. Okay, so now I am not going to deep dive into those features. We are just going to understand what is this activity. So let me save it. So from the main workflow, we are going to call another workflow. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So in any other programming language also, we know like we can create a different module, right? So these different modules we can call inside a function or inside a class using the function calling, right? The same kind of feature. Okay, we can call different workflows inside the main or in any other workflows using this particular activity, invoke workflow file activity. And what are the other features? I will provide all these details or the link to the document in the description. You can refer this for getting more details. Okay, and this is how you need to import the arguments, so that we can cover in the next videos. And this one is important, like here the one thing that you need to keep in mind is like if you create few variables, that is like in the main workflow you created few variables, and in the invoke workflow or in the workflow 2 you created few of the argument, right? If it is of the same time, if it is of same type and if it is of the same name, and if you click on input argument, it will automatically sync those variables and argument. Okay, if it is of the same name and if it is of the same type. Okay, and once the panel is closed, a counter next to the body, the counter is colored. Okay, what is orange color? If there is a mismatch between the selected argument and the one that exists in the invoked workflow, we will get an orange pop-up. So that shows the mismatch between the argument types. Okay, gray means if selected arguments are found in the invoked workflow, and open workflow means if you want to open that particular workflow too. Okay, from the main, if you want to open that particular workflow too, you can just click on workflow, open workflow. Here the other thing that we want to understand is what are these input parameters. So first one is argument, the parameter that can be passed to the application at the time of invocation. Okay, so during the execution, what are the parameters that we can pass to the application? Argument variable means the parameter that can be passed dynamically to a workflow using a dictionary. Okay, so this will pass the parameters like a dictionary, and that this will pass during the invocation. Okay, isolated means if this checkbox is selected, the invoke workflow runs in a separate Windows process. This helps with isolating a faulty workflow from the main workflow. So if you keep this as enabled, means it will run in a separate window. Okay, so it is run as a separate window process instead of running it along with the parent flow. And that's it. We know what is the workflow file, right? So let me do one thing. Let me save it and try to execute on file. So now you can see this is workflow 2, because here it invoked the workflow 2. Okay, from the main we executed the workflow 2. Okay, so I hope you are clear about the concept of what is invoke workflow file activity and invoke process activity. Okay, so in the next video I will tell you what is this argument and what are the different type of arguments and how you can pass the value from variable to argument, and how you can utilize that in the invoke process as well as in the invoke workflow activity. Okay, so that's it for today's demo. If you find this video useful, please like the video, please comment your valuable opinions, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. So thanks for watching the video. Bye.